Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to Circuit Park Zandvoort for the Adrenaline Impact GT3 series. I'm your host for this evening, Max Palmer. I'm with Kyril Alang, our director, and welcome to this absolutely fantastic historic circuit. 4.25 kilometers long, a nice balmy 21 degrees Celsius. A classic racetrack for what is shaping up to be a very classic race indeed. Coming down through the dunes of the Zandvoort National Park here in the Netherlands there, and we see, as we watch Jesslyn Jani come across the line there. The cars are now currently in practice session with Ilham Hlabi, so far the fastest man in practice. Saiful Arifin is second, followed by Jesslyn Jani, and the first of our SRA drivers that have joined us for this evening. A special thanks to those guys for joining us as well. Ryan Lam is in fourth, with Simon Sanchez in fifth. Zara Hazin in sixth, followed by Javier Alvarez, Lloyd Lachlan, Fred Ting, Surin Silvaraju, Mazli, Afik Fadlan, Shebe Aizan, Muhammad Shukran, Fairoz Fadzli, Sharil Nurafuddin Karahan, and Shawam Rajab, the 18 drivers who are out there practicing for the race. It looks like the race pace is going to be around the 1:35 minute mark, or perhaps even a little bit quicker in qualifying, but these drivers are definitely going to push these cars very hard indeed. A 15-minute qualifying session will follow this very shortly in about 5 minutes time. And after that we will have a 45-minute race. And it looks like we're going to have to stop this race. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at Ryan Lam. They're going through and into those top corners there. Absolutely stunning circuit. Very narrow, however, so it could be very tricky indeed to try and get the overtaking done. But nevertheless, we will see quite a lot of action coming right up ahead. But Ryan Lam, one of the drivers from the SRA community based in Singapore, the Sim Racers Asia guys, had a wonderful race last night that you can watch on Adrenaline Impact, and it was an absolutely stunning, exciting race under the lights at Charlotte Roval. But now we move from the GTE cars into the GT3 cars for some more GT action. Now the current fastest man out on track is Ilham Hlabi, 1:35.5, but he is being fairly consistent there. His last lap was 1:35.9. That sort of tells me that he is trying to look out for race pace at the moment. It looks to be very quick indeed. However, it is worth noting that most of the drivers out there are within a second of each other, so it is going to be a fairly tight race indeed, especially up front. Ilham Hlabi 1:35.5, Jesslyn Jali only a tenth of a second behind that, and Saiful Arifin a couple hundredths under a tenth of a second behind Jasmine. So very quick cars indeed, and quite a lot of drivers out there with the possibility of winning the race. So yeah, we're doing quite well. Have my 100 plus right now just to change things up.
How did the weekend treat you?
Well, it's quite busy, wasn't it?
Busy, occupied.
Oh yeah.
It was an exciting race last night for SRA.
Absolutely. So just to fill you up, what has been a hectic sim racing calendar, as it were, for the weekend. We had the warm-up race for the SRE at Charlotte Roval on the Friday. We had the warm-up race for this event here at Zandvoort on, was it Saturday? Yeah. And of course the GTE race was on Saturday. The warm-up race for this was on a Friday, and the warm-up race for the GTE event was on a Thursday. So we've been going for about 4 days now, and very exciting stuff indeed. But it has been absolutely chock-a-block full of very exciting racing up and down the leaderboard. So hopefully we'll see another very good race this time around.
So we're nearing the end of practice with less than 2 minutes to go. So we'll see the regular top 3 guys there, but of course there's Ryan Lam. He will be adding some changes there, maybe. Maybe he'll perform well today.
Yeah, I mean he is very quick in GT cars. That's sort of his speciality over the last months, and it looks like he's getting very good indeed. To be fourth right there, he's just outside the 135s, but I think he'll be very quick in practice. In fact, it looks like drivers are out there right now trying to get a good qualifying lap underway, but that'll be very interesting stuff indeed to see what will be happening across the field. Probably definitely one to watch, but the interesting point with that is, will he try to qualify or will he try to keep back? And Lloyd Lachlan there, William Max and Colonel Ilham has agreed to start from the back for us. Fantastic stuff. So for those of you who don't know, Ilham does have the habit of challenging himself just a little bit more than usual. He likes to occasionally start races from the back of the field, and this isn't due to any mistakes, it's just literally him trying to give himself a real challenge. But Ilham Hlabi is the fastest man in practice session as practice winds down to a close. Jezrin is in second place, Saiful Arifin in third, with Ryan Lam in fourth and Simon Sanchez in fifth. And now we move on to the qualifying session. And you can see there the famous sand dunes of Zandvoort in the backgrounds there. We're in the Netherlands, on the coastline, and it is an absolutely stunning part of the world to come and visit. A very unique landscape around this area. You can see quite a few cars have gone out to try and get their lap time in early. It looks like it's going to be an open qualifying session, 15 minutes, so they're going to have to worry about the traffic and perhaps trying to get a draft, although not too much. As we see, Calvin Ha is the first man out there to do his warm-up lap. Of course, some of these drivers will do more than one warm-up lap. They'll do an out lap and then another sort of warm-up lap to try and make sure everything is perfect before going for their pole lap. You can see there Calvin Ha thundering into view.
Next behind him we have Saiful Arifin.
Oh yes, that's another driver with a chance of trying to win the race there. He is in the Legacy Racing liveried car. That was a very similar livery to what we used at the Spa 24 Hours this year on iRacing, and it is a very nice looking car indeed, if I may say so myself. But Saiful Arifin, he is another one of the old hands at sim racing, a lot of experience underneath that right foot, pushing him along to try and get the pace up. Right now he's just slowly building the speed of the car to try and go around the lap before heading around to the start-finish straight.
So here's his hard lap. Let's go on board.
Alright, now coming down into Tarzan, very difficult braking zone here. The track is slightly banked coming into this corner here. Coming out, you've got to be very careful on the throttle coming out through the corner then, and through these S's you really try to straight line the first part as much as possible. You tend to end up being on the wrong side of the road for this corner here, but you just have to try and make it work. The camber is working with you around that corner. Now through Slotermaker and into Skivlak. Very high speed S's into a very challenging right-hander here. It's downhill, it drops away from you. The camber is changing all the way through the corner there, and he does that perfectly. Coming into the braking zone here for Masters. Very tricky braking zone there, trying to run the car out wide into another braking zone. It's all action through this portion of the track up the top end here. Now we're going to come through turn 11. Sorry, to the run up to turn 11. very, very careful on the throttle here and up through the straights. This is another overtaking opportunity for the drivers should they need it. Coming into this section here, you've got a very sharp right-hander which always upsets the car a little bit before firing his way through the left-hander and into the final two corners here. And now the trick with this corner is to try and get the entry perfect before coming out around the outside through Ari Lyondike corner. Almost flat out for most cars. In fact, I believe Cypherifin is in fact completely flat out coming across the line there. He's going to follow that Ferrari across the line for a 1:35.902. An absolutely flying lap time from him, considering these cars would still be on cold tires.
Sanchez manages to get a P2 right now.
Yeah.
Simon Sanchez.
So Simon Sanchez is another driver from the Sim Racers Asia group, and coming across the pond. So he is a driver from Macau, doing very well for himself in the series so far. But he is now up into 1:38.079. That puts him provisionally in second place. Javier Perez has a bit of a coming together. I'm not too sure who that was with. But that was a very strange crash, considering they were coming out of Ari Lyondike corner, but that really has slowed them down a bit. That's going to really hamper their preparations. But a note on Javier, as we were just about to say, he is yet another international driver, originally from Spain, but he does stay here in Malaysia. You see Ryan Lam there, he is quick enough to get second place, 1:36.406. The times are beginning to tumble. So 1:35.9 for Saiful Arifin, which, like I said, these tires would still be fairly cold. You need really 2 laps to try and get the heat into the tires to try and really push hard. And of course you want to get your, so basically psych yourself up for that quick lap. It looks to be very, very quick indeed. Mohamed Shukran goes across the line, 1:39.329. He'll go quicker, I'm sure. Saiful Arifin decides to go into the pits for a quick, perhaps a tyre change or a bit of a splash and dash. Ryan Lam is in third position right now. Simon Sanchez managing to get himself up into second place with a 1:35.933. Ryan pushing very hard indeed. You can see him just make that corner, make that apex. There's a lot of times around Sandvert here where you end up on the wrong side of the road for the next corner. But Ryan Lam handles that situation beautifully, using all of the curve that he can. Now coming around the final corner there, let's see what he can do in terms of lap time. Zainal Hazem does a 1:37, Ryan Lam does a 1:36.6. He's not able to improve his lap.
No, he does.
Okay, that's a bit strange. The timing screen on the bottom there isn't working very well, but 1:35.524 for Ryan Lam.
Yeah, I can hear your voice better now.
Yeah, the ticker on the bottom there isn't showing the accurate time, so we do apologize for that.
What happened to Surin here?
Surin is yet another driver. I believe he must have tangled with Javier. I should ask them later on. They are apparently good friends, although I'm not too sure after this one. But yeah, that does happen. It's a bit strange to happen out on the Ari Lyondike corner, but it does bode well. But Ryan Lam does take a 1:35.524. That's very quick for this stage of qualifying. Vinijit Singh, he is in the other SRE liveried Ferrari, again based on the Asian Legends Racing Team livery that they sort of adapted into a nice, very patriotic livery. Again, another car that's ran in the Spa 24 Hours event. He goes across the line to take a time of 1:38.308. So he'll probably be coming around for another attempt fairly shortly. And now Shawal Reja in the Worth liveried car there. If I'm not mistaken, that is one of the, if not official Ferrari, but one of the Ferrari liveries that run in Blancpain. although I could be wrong. And if I am, do leave a comment down below. And whilst you're there, just let us know what you think of the stream so far. You can ask us any questions, and while you're there, you can hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and yeah, leave a like and share that sim racing around. Shema Azan, meanwhile, he's come across the line for a 136.3. That's relatively quick considering he has a little bit of damage there. Nazmi has quite a bit of damage there.
He was doing very good. Nazmi was getting all greens.
Yeah, he was going for a very quick lap time there, but it looks like he might have gone offline coming out of the final corner there. It's interesting to see that the drivers are having quite a lot of issues coming out of the final corner and trying to complete their lap time, but Nazmi looked like he was going to be very quick indeed.
Yeah, we see Padawan liveries again.
Yes. This one's a bit of a special livery. It's a new one if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen this one yet. As you can see him coming across past the cameras there. Padawan Esports, a sort of a Star Wars themed racing team, and they've been doing quite well in the Adrenaline Impact iRacing Malaysia Championship and with the GT3 series, so it'll be interesting to see what Nazmi can do in that beautiful little Mercedes AMG GT3 car. Ryan Lamb still on pole as we come across our 10 minutes have elapsed in qualifying, 5 minutes to go in the session. Ryan Lamb still on pole position, 135.5 followed by Saiful Arifin 2/10 behind in a 135.7. But those two drivers are still circulating around. It'll be interesting to see how the battle for pole will shake up. But let's see what Nazmi can do coming around here. He's got quite a bit of traffic up ahead. He's going to be hoping that these guys will be all on quick laps, or at least all pushing relatively hard through the final corner there. A lot of speed being carried around. Just uses every single inch of the road there. Let's see what Nazmi can do.
Wasn't a very good one.
7.
Yeah.
It looks like, yeah.
Let's go back to. I wonder where Ilham is. He's keeping his promise, I guess.
Perhaps it'll be interesting to see what he does here, because he does go out on the qualifying sessions, but he does often stop just before the final corner. But you can see he's definitely pushing very hard indeed. Right up to the edge of the track there. Really pushing the car very hard through the corner. Just a little bit of net code. That's why the car is blinking, disappearing, reappearing here. That's just because the internet on the other side is just a little bit weaker than ours in terms of signal strength and speed. But now coming up underneath the bridge there, he's going to set the car up for the braking zone. This could be quite a treat to see how he handles this right-left combination. Nice and smooth, barely a hint of lock up in the inside wheel. Coming out to the final two corners, let's see. It looks like he might be trying to go for it. Around the outside of the final corner, will he go into the pits? He does not. He's going for the pole position. It looks like he's going to go across the line. Let's see what time he's able to pull off. That must have been his outlap. And yeah.
Let's just stay with him for a bit.
Yep, let's see if he tries to go any quicker there. Again, coming out of this bottom corner here, behind the pits, through Slottermarker and coming up to the top of the hill, Shuvla. He's definitely got his foot flat to the floor there. He's trying. Now you want to try and perhaps catch the car up ahead just for a little bit of a draft. But if the car up ahead is a bit... Ooh, almost had a bit of a contact moment there And there's a car spinning up ahead. He might not be able to do very well on this lap because there's quite a lot of things happening ahead of him.
We have, I think, I'm not sure who's in front of him, but it might be one of the it's one of the Ferraris. So
I think that's Surin's car, if I'm not mistaken. Or Simon Sanchez even. No, Simon Sanchez is in the blue Ferrari. Yeah, it has to be Surin, I believe, who is up ahead. Looks like Ilham really using him as a bit of a draft there, and he
does it. Okay, let's go on
Perhaps
to Shami Aizan.
Perhaps someone has told him that we were watching him, so...
Okay, let's see Shami on his another hot lap for him.
Yep, this should be a quick lap for him. Shami just going a little bit wide through Tarzan, running right across the edge of the track there, using all of the ripple strips, diving through the corners, really pushing the car very hard indeed. Coming out of the bottom corner there, really trying to get the power down and through these nice, fantastic sweeping S's here, soft marker up to Shifla. There's a car that's just gone off the road there. That won't distract Shami Aizan too much going around the corner. You've got to be very careful on the throttle here, diving into the brakes for Masters.
Shami just started practicing on this track last Friday. Last Friday. He was eager to join our GT3 series.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to see that he has actually done a very good job in learning the track. Looks like he went a little bit wide there, but he's still pushing hard. Coming into the last two corners there, yep, doing the absolute perfect racing line there. He's definitely learned well. And it'll be interesting to see how quick he is, because like Carol has said, he really did only have 4 days to learn the track, sorry, 3 days to learn the track. Coming around the final corner, let's see what he's able to pull out of the bag there. And that's a 136.238. He's still in 4th place, but he has improved his lap time. He should be fairly pleased with that. And now with Nazmi Mazli, who's been trying to pull a good lap out, unfortunately he decides to abort the lap.
Whose name was Jasri Junos?
And Jasri Junos there, yes, he is in the rough, I believe. Yes,
the only one here tonight.
Yep. And now a bit of backstory with the roof. It's based on the Porsche 911, as you know. It's the oldest GT3 car on the service. In fact, it's no longer racing in Blancpain GT or any of those races. In fact, Roof used to race this car up against the Alpina B8 GT3 cars way back in the days, in the mid-2000s. So it's a fairly old car, but it is very quick in the hands of Jasri Junas. However, it doesn't look like he's been able to dial the car in just the way he likes it. It's a 139.9 from him. Right now, Ilham Plabi is out there on track, perhaps just getting a little bit more extra practice into the car. Of course, the more miles you do in these cars, the more you learn about them, the more you know what the handling characteristics are across a stint, how much the tyre wear is going to affect the car, and the all-important fuel consumption. Because of course these cars will probably need a pit stop between the start and finish of the race.
And that's it.
And it looks like, yeah, that will be it.
We'll go on to the grid.
So at the end of qualifying, it is Ryan Lam from Hong Kong who takes pole position with a time of 1:35.524. In second place, Saiful Arifin of Malaysia, 2/10 behind, followed by Simon Sanchez of Macau, a further 4/10 behind in third place. A very international top 5 here, top 6 rather. Shami Aizan is in 4th place for Rab Prodrag in with the Malaysian colours there. Zainal Hazan in 5th place, followed by Javier Alvarez, our resident Spanish driver there, in 6th place. Malvinder Singh is in 7th, followed by Lloyd Lachlan, the Australian, sitting down in 8th place. Surin Selvaraju of Singapore in 9th, followed by Sharul Norafuddin, Fred Ting of Brunei, and Muhammad Shukran in 12th place. Further down the field we have Calvin Ha of the FR778 Autosport concern there. The Malaysian is up in 13th place, followed by Jasri Junos, Tamizi Yusof, Farouz Fazil, Shawal Rejab, Nazmi Mazli, Ilham Halabi, Jazrin Jali, and Afiq Fadlan. A really interesting grid there as we go for the parade lap. The iRacing Porsche 911 bringing the cars around the field, around the lap, getting ready to go racing right now. The drivers will be doing their last minute preparations and checks, making sure the cars are in the right mode. The cars have got, they'll be checking their brake balance, the way they sit in the cockpit of their sim rigs as well, and just generally trying to get themselves prepared and focus for the race. The nerves build up quite a bit here. You can see Saiful Arifin is definitely eager to go. He, in fact, won the previous event we've had here on Adrenaline Impact, which was the SRA, the Sim Racers Asia Championship, which was a very prestigious win for Saiful, seeing that he was basically up ahead for the entirety of the race, rather.
Yeah, here's something to do. Let's have some fun with the chat box today. Anyone who could guess the top 3 finishers today, we'll just mention you guys and get some glamour of your time.
Yep.
Guess away, please do in the chat, in the comments area, please.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who everyone thinks will come home in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. I must admit, when it comes to Formula 1 events, back when I used to watch them quite regularly, that used to be a favourite of ours. It'd be interesting to see what the commenters say on who's going to win the race. Now as we come through Masters, then into the next corner, Simon Sanchez getting ready to go. Zainal Hazim in the SRE machine, close behind. The Ferraris seem to be a little bit challenged around this track. Perhaps their slightly lively nature not quite suited to the Zandvoort layout. Up ahead, Cheryl Nora Foodin in the Audi. Audi's doing a little bit better, but there are a lot of Mercedes up at the front of the field. Only 2 BMW drivers, however, this time round. Jaswin Jali follows Ilham Labi in deciding to start from the back, and Lloyd Lachlan is up at the front of the field, up in 5th place, so he could be another contender for the win. But there's going to be quite a few drivers out there. He's in the works. BMW M livery, that's the alternate livery that they have for the secondary cars. Now as the field slowly come up behind the back of the Porsche, going around the final corner, see thousands of horsepower there ready to go. The Porsche is going to make a last minute dive into the pits.
This is usually funny.
And
green.
And it's green.
Hey,
green
what
flag
happened?
and Saiful Arifin. Unfortunately, 2 cars have jumped the start, it looks like. That's Lam and Sanchez. No, they haven't.
Yeah.
And it looks like Saiful Arifin just bogged down at the start there. Perhaps he wasn't expecting the Porsche to be moving out of the way that abruptly, but it looks like that's a real problem there for Saiful Arifin. He's dropped from first to fourth place, which means Ryan Lamb is up into second place, but Saiful Arifin is on the fight back. We know he has a lot of pace in that Mercedes. Meanwhile, Zainal Hazim had a fantastic start to get himself up into second place. Ryan Lamb and Simon Sanchez in first and second place, already pulling up a 1.2 second gap from Saiful Arifin, with Zainal Hazim in fourth place, Sami Aizan in fifth, and there's quite a few drivers there who have been involved in incidents. It looks like Shukran, Fairuz, Surin and Jezrin are swapping around all over the place. Let's have a look at the replay. Lloyd Lockman coming into the braking zone there, and there's a big spin from one of the cars up ahead, and that has caused a bit of a pile-up. Let's see if they are able to try and clear that. That looks to me like it might to be. Could that be a yellow flag?
I guess they cleared up quickly, really quickly.
Yeah, we're gonna have another look at that. We'll trust the marshal on this, which in this particular instance I believe is in fact Carol Allen. And yeah, it looks like they've all just about cleared up there, so they're still underway. Ryan Lamb in first place, Simon Sanchez in second, and Saiful Arifin in third position. But it looks like Saiful Arifin has really caught up to the back of the field there. Lamb, Sanchez and Saiful very close together. Sami Aizan is battling with Hazim, with Zainal Hazim for fourth place. Diving through the curves there. Ilham Labi meanwhile in 13th place. He's already come up 6 places in the space of 2 laps. Meanwhile, Lloyd Loughlin there, wasn't me, I promise. Yes, we know, we have in fact seen the replay. And yet again, it amazes me that Lloyd has the ability to drive a car fairly quickly and still text. Of course, it would be remiss of me to say you shouldn't text and drive in real life, but I guess in the sim it seems to be okay for Lloyd Loughlin in any case. But it looks like the field's been bunched up a little bit there, but
What happened to Javier?
Looked at Javier Alvarez in the replay. Oh, just gets it wrong there. That's a classic mistake there. That's a lot of damage on that car. Will he be able to rejoin the race? It looks like the car's just about ready just to get the car out of the way. It looks like he's going to tow that car back into the pits. But meanwhile, Ilham Labi on lap 2, he's already up into 8th position. Sorry, in 11th position. He's gained 8 positions. I do apologise, but he was right at the back of the field there. Looks like Alvarez, Shukran and Lloyd managing to get himself back out, but unfortunately he is a lap behind. But Ryan Lamb right now in the lead, followed by Simon Sanchez and Saiful Arifin, who's in 3rd position and catching them quite quickly indeed. There was over a second's gap between himself and 2 front-running cars there, but it looks like he is catching at quite the rate through the S's here. A lot of high commitment corners, high downforce corners there. Meanwhile, Fred Ting is in 7th place. He is chasing Sharil Norafuddin. Fred Ting from Brunei, chasing Sharil through the curves here. Just the precision required to try and chase someone up through the front half of the circuit is mesmerizing here. And Fred is going all over the back of Sharil. Will Fred be able to try and get past here? Shallow going a little bit wide on the entry into the corner there. Fred coming in a little shallow. 2 very different driving styles, 2 very different types of car. One's mid-engine, one's front-engine. Very different sort of power delivery as well, and very different suspension style as well. Fred Ting gets the car sideways, going down the back straight, coming into the last series of bends here. And it looks like Sharil just has the edge on Fred when it comes to the low speed stuff, but in the high speed stuff that Mercedes is very, very stable indeed. It'd be very hard to try and get them past. Meanwhile, Saiful Arifin is still chasing up, and it's 0.4 seconds for Saiful Arifin The last time we saw him, he was quite a ways behind, but it looks like there's a lot of pace in that Mercedes, and he's not afraid to use it at this early stage of the race. He is battling for second place with Simon Sanchez, and it looks like he's going to get very close indeed.
Let's go over to Ilham.
Meanwhile, Ilham Halabi, he is up into 9th place and challenging Jasri Junos, who managed to get himself up into 8th place in that rough, almost Porsche. Of course, Rough make their own cars based on the Porsche, but they are considered a different make or manufacturer, if you will. But Jasri Junos, a very quick driver in his own right. He's gained up 6 positions as well in comparison to Ilham Halabi. And this is the battle for 8th position there. Jasri pushing very hard indeed, but Ilham is a very quick driver. He's trying to go around the outside here. He's going to have a look. Of course, Ilham is the kind of driver that won't make any rash decisions at this early stage of the race. Jasri trying very hard, and then in fact there's a spin behind. There's a car that has spun behind there. That's Calvin Hahn.
Calvin Hahn, yeah.
Unfortunately, he lost it. Very hard to find traction around this track here. Jasri doing everything he can to try and keep Ilham Halabi behind him. Meanwhile, Saiful Arifin going to go side by side with Simon Sanchez, just about having to pull that car back into position there, but it looks like this could be another battle that will have an outcome very shortly indeed. Saiful Arifin pushing the car very hard through the S's there. Now climbing up to the top of the track there. Fred Ting meanwhile pushing as hard as he can to try and get past Cyril Nora-Foot. There's battles going up and down the leaderboard. This is absolutely exciting stuff here for the GT3 race at Zandvoort. Nazmi Masli meanwhile, he's going to try and go around the inside of Malvin Najit. Will he be able to pull this off on Firas, sorry? And yes, indeed, Firas Fazil has been put down by Nazmi Masli through the apex of Tarzan. Classic Tarzan maneuver there. Definitely one corner that's designed for ultralight braking. But Nazmi Masli there, he's definitely got a lot of pace in that Mercedes. He is walking away from Firas, and pretty soon he'll be up to the similar car of Afiq Fadlan very, very shortly indeed. Meanwhile, Saiful Arifin still harrying Simon Sanchez along the track there. They're coming down to the final corner there. This is going to be a slipstream opportunity. Saiful looks like he's going to be close enough. Simon tries to dive in on the inside, but they're going to go side by side down the straight. Saiful Arifin's going to be on the outside. Simon Sanchez on the inside. It's going to be who can break the latest. And it looks like Simon Sanchez just about manages to keep that Ferrari ahead of the Mercedes of Saiful Arifin, but he goes wide. Simon Sanchez goes wide, and that's a big accident. That's a big accident. Simon lost it under brakes, spun the car around, and unfortunately collected Saiful Arifin. That's a lot of damage to his car there, and it looks like that's a lot of damage to Simon's car as well. And Simon has dropped quite a few places. Looks like definitely got a few cars managing to unlap themselves from Simon, and that is some pretty dramatic incidents up at the head of the field there. Ryan Lamston leads, of course, but Saiful Arifin manages to get into second place, but that's a fairly damaged car. Will he be able to nurse that car in second place? I'm sure he is going to try his best, try his level best to try and keep that car up at the front, but looks like Zainal Hazim, who's in that Ferrari, might turn things around a little bit for the mid-engine brigade. Coming up to the back of Saiful Arifin, this could be a interesting piece of driving to see what Saiful Arifin will do up next. But Zainal Hazim definitely close enough to try something if required. But that was a huge crash from Saiful Arifin. Fred Ting, meanwhile, he is still trying to battle with Sharon Nora-Foot, but he's now got the added complication of having Ilham Halabi behind him as well, so this could be very, very challenging indeed. And it looks like Saiful Arifin has to go in. There's too much damage on that car. He decides he's going in for repairs in the pits. And as Saiful Arifin goes into the pits, Fred Ting is in that train of cars coming into Tarzan. Heavy braking from all the drivers there. In fact, Ilham Labi had a puff of smoke as he braked quite hard into there, a little bit of a lock-up. Sharon Nurafudin still leads this train of cars. He is up into 5th place, Fred Ting in 6th, and Ilham Labi in 7th. And this could be a very, very interesting race for all 3 drivers. All 3 of them fairly quick indeed, from definitely different backgrounds, different levels of experience, but yet very, very similar levels in terms of skill. Fred Ting there, he's got Ilham right behind him. Again, he's got one eye on the rear view mirror and one eye on the car up ahead, pushing that Mercedes as hard as it'll go. And it looks like he's gone just a little bit wide there. Will that give an opportunity for Ilham Labi? This is very exciting stuff. They're very close together. This is almost like a touring car race as opposed to a GT race. Fred Ting heading up towards the far end of the straight there, coming into the braking zone. He tries to go around the inside there. Will he be able to pull it off? Sharon Nurafudin has to go off the track in order to try and keep his car under control, but it looks like they're going to be side by side coming into the second to last corner there, and Fred Ting manages to get himself up ahead of Sharon Nurafudin there, and there's a car off the track there. There's Shami Aizan, who's dropped back quite a few positions there from a spin. It looks like, let's have a look at the replay. Shami Aizan goes off wide, and that has pitched the car into a spin there. That's a real shame for Shami Aizan. He was doing very well to be up ahead. But Fred Ting there, he is now up into 4th place, but he's got Ilham Labi who's managed to get past Sharon Nurafudin. So this looks like it's going to be a battle between Fred and Ilham, and it looks like Ilham's very quick there, diving under the brakes, keeping the car lit around the corner there. He's going to try and climb over the crest here and stays close behind that Mercedes as he possibly can through this challenging sweeping set of corners here. Over the top into the braking zone here. Very, very challenging indeed to try and keep the car on the inside there as the corner does all sorts of things underneath here. Fred Ting still ahead. Simon Sanchez about 7 seconds, 8 seconds up ahead, so he really just has Ilham Labi to try and look around, and it looks like there's a bit of a mistake there from Fred Ting, and Ilham swoops across the outside. Will he be able to hold on to that place? It's going to be a drag race out of the corner, but it looks like Ilham manages to keep that position. A fantastic move around the outside of the corner there for Ilham Labi. Fred Ting manages to keep himself on the track there in 5th place, but Ilham moves up to 4th, and now he's got a real job on his hand trying to catch Simon Sanchez. Stunning stuff from all the drivers up ahead there, and you look at the midfield there. Afik Fadlan is right in the middle of the classic adrenaline midfield battle that's almost become a signature of the series. Afik chasing Jasri Junos there, really pushing that car very, very hard indeed. They're going to go side by side down the straight there. Jasri is going to be hard on the brakes in order to try and keep Afik Fadlan behind him, but it looks like he just wasn't able to do so, and Afik moves up 1 position. Jasri is behind him in 9th place, and Saiful Arifin, who's just got his car repaired, is in 10th, and it looks like Jasri might be in a little bit of trouble there because Saiful Arifin is very close behind that rough car. You can see him get very close to the back of that car, over the top of the hill into the braking zone there, very close to the back of Jasri there. Saiful Arifin pushing that Mercedes as hard as he goes. He knows what he's lost in terms of positions. He's now going to try and fight his way back up through the leaderboard. Nice, clinical, neat move on Jasri Junos to get himself up into the top 10 in 9th position there. So Jasri Junos is now has Tariq Yusuf and Nazli behind him as well, so that's going to be really challenging indeed. This battle looks like it's going to be going for quite some time. The one driver that's very keen to leave that battle and head up the field is Saiful Arifin there in 9th place. Nazmi Nazli there, another very, very quick driver. He's gained 6 positions since the start of the race. He had unfortunately, not the best qualifying session. A few mistakes there, so he had to start right at the back there. But it looks like he'll be doing a-okay for himself. Jolly is in the pit lanes, just coming in there. So perhaps he either has a bit of damage, or is he doing a bit of a splash and dash to make sure he has enough at the end of the race. There could be pit stops involved with a race of this length here, and this could be very interesting. And they're very, very close behind Afik Fadlan right now. He's taking next to no time to try and bridge the gap to Afik. Safbarfin pushing the car very hard indeed. You can see the car sort of twisting, turning, bucking and porpoising around to try and push that car a little bit quicker. He is using every single ounce of grip that he can try and get out of that Mercedes. Coming up across the brow into this downhill braking zone, very difficult indeed. Afik brakes very, very early indeed, and it looks like that's another position gained by Saiful Arifin. Nice clinical maneuver. He hasn't even lost that much speed in overtaking them. His next target is going to be Shami Aizan up ahead. Meanwhile, Tamizi Yusuf is the next person that's targeting the sole rough that's in the race right now. Jasri Junos driving the car very, very hard indeed there. You can see there. Sorang-sorang tu. Yeah, betul. So right now, as you can see there, Tamiz Yusuf pushing the car very, very hard indeed to try and catch Jasri. He's doing his level best to try and keep the car up in 10th place. Pushing very hard through the curves here, coming up across the line there, over the top of the crest, down through the other side, coming up into the braking zone. It's going to be a real challenge to see how hard he can get that car pitched in. It looks like this is a very, very level battle right now. Jasri Julius really knows that Porsche, that rough rather, inside out. And he can really drive those rear engine cars very well indeed. Tamiz Yusuf having to push very, very hard in order to try and keep up. It's amazing to think that this car, which is, like I've said earlier in the broadcast, it looks like Jasri's gone off the track.
He was pressured into that mistake.
I'm not too sure. It looks like that was a mechanical problem because the car just kept going left when he should have straightened up.
Well,
it looked like the car steering had locked to the left. Very strange incident indeed. It didn't look like the car was sideways at any point. But that is going to be a real tough break there for Jasri Junos, who is doing so well to keep that old car up in the top 10. Shami Aizan, meanwhile, he's got a lot of pressure behind him. He's trying to put on quite a bit of pressure on Shami Morfudin, who should be quite used to it right now. But Saiful Arifin is looming there on the back. He'll want to try and get past as many drivers as possible. He thinks he can take on the entire field at this point, and he has the car to do it, that's for sure. Now it's just a case of trying to get past as many drivers as he can, but he's now right behind Sami Aizan. You can just about read the lettering on the back of the car there. Coming into the braking zone, he just has to leave it a little bit wide there, pushing the car very hard indeed. And it looks like Sami Aizan managed to get past the back marker there.
We're nearing the halfway point of the race. Usually they will go pits on maybe almost 3/4 of the race.
So you might see the first pit stop for the majority of the drivers up around the lap 17 to lap 18 mark. If my calculations are correct, but they're often not, to be fair. But you'd expect to see them around there. Between lap 17 and lap 20 would be the pit window, I would suspect. But there will be some drivers that will pit in the middle part, in the mid part of the race. It can be a smart idea to try and make sure you don't pit at the same time everyone else does, because it could get a little bit crowded in the pit lane. It could be a little bit difficult dealing with traffic on the outbound. You want to have basically an empty track ahead of you when you leave the pits. That would be the ideal scenario. Meanwhile, one man who doesn't have an empty piece of track anywhere near him is Shami Aizan. And Sharon really doing well with the pressure that's been put on him so far around the race. He's doing well to be in 6th place. Shami Aizan in 7th. He's trying everything he can to try and spook Sharil into a bit of a mistake. And up ahead there, Fred Ting has dropped into the clutches of Shami Aizan as well. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the replay. Simon Sanchez has another spin there right in front of Ilham Halabi as well. And it looks like there's something not quite perfect on Simon Sanchez's vehicle. It's a real pity because we know he's very, very quick indeed. He still maintains 4th place, however, so that should be very, very nice indeed.
Oh, Scheifele overtakes Shami.
Very, very neat job there indeed. He manages to get himself up ahead of Shami Aizan, and now he's got Sharon Norafuddin up ahead. So Sharon Norafuddin, he's had quite a lot of pressure being put on him by several drivers over the course of the race here. Now will he be able to keep Saiful Arifin behind him?
This is a 5-way battle.
Oh yeah. There's an absolute train of cars.
Whoa!
And there's a bit of a mistake there from the 2 Mercedes. We got tangled up. So that was Shami Aizan and I believe Afif Fadlan.
Yeah.
Who got a little bit tangled with each other in coming into the Tarzan curve. But what's unique and interesting about this track, it is very narrow indeed. Very, very challenging to try and drive it around. Saiful Arifin now, he is up into 7th place, and he's going to be very, very close to the back of Sharon Norafuddin. Sharon has it all to do again to try and keep another car behind him. He's done well with the cars, the previous cars that have tried to challenge him so far, but Saiful Arifin is his strongest opponent yet this race. Coming around the bend there, just having to try and get the power on earlier to make sure there's no real space for Saiful Arifin to try and go past. You can see there Saiful Arifin got very sideways on the exit of the corner. Now coming into the braking zone here, he's got to be very careful. Trickling the car around the corner here, using all of the exit, and it looks like Saiful Arifin's going to be very close. Sharyl Norafuddin using every single inch of the road to try and defend from Saiful. Coming into the start-finish straight, which is going to be the best place to try and do any slipstreaming. Meanwhile, Simon Sanchez is in the pits. Perhaps there was a little bit of a problem there with his car, but it looks like Saiful Arifin's going to go for an overtaking maneuver around the inside, and Fred Tink's going to try and do the same thing. We've got the double overtake going around the corner there, and it looks like Saiful Arifin manages to get a, oh, that's a big incident there with Sharyl Norafuddin and the and but meanwhile, that was a fantastic overtaking maneuver by Saiful Arifin and Fred Ting, almost in unison. The double overtake around the hairpin at the start of the lap. Fantastic driving by both drivers there. And now this is going to be an interesting battle. Fred Ting versus Saiful Arifin, both in Mercedes, both going very, very well indeed. Will Saiful be fast enough to try and get past them? Looks like he is able to do so, and that's another overtaking maneuver, perhaps going around the inside of the corner. Now he's going to be around the outside. Will Fred hold his line through the inside of the corner there? He is trying as hard as he can. They're going to come out virtually side by side, but looks like Saiful Arifin just about closes the door and takes that position. That's 2 overtaking positions in a lap, and it could very well mean that Saiful Arifin might get a chance of dropping that 18 seconds gap between himself and Ilham Halabi. It'd be a big ask, but He's going to try and push that car as hard as it'll go. Meanwhile, Ryan Lamb is still your leader with Zainal Hazim in second place and Ilham Labi in third.
It's
Ryan
an
Lamb,
enormous gap, 22 seconds gap.
yeah, I was just going to say, Ryan Lamb has a fantastic gap. That means he has a pit stop's worth of time.
I guess he could just go pit in a very relaxed manner.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, if he goes as quick as he can now to try and open up that gap as much as possible before coming in for a fuel stop and perhaps some tyres, he would be able to do so in the time available. 22 seconds, that could be just enough for Ryan Lamb to come into the pits and then out again just in time to retake the lead from Zainal Hazim. Let's see what he does here. He's still out there. He might be waiting for that lap 17 to lap 20 pit window, but Ryan Lamb definitely in control of the race as it stands. Zainal Hazim, he is in second place. He's doing very well for himself, really improving his form book over the last few races, pushing very hard indeed to keep that Ferrari up in second place, and he thought about going to the pits there. He decides not to go for it, and he heads off into the
We gotta fire the pits.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's a bit of a fire coming up from the pit lane there, and that looks like it's Jasri Junos's car. So Jasri's car, remember he had two big accidents today. He had the car steering appeared to lock up on him, and on the second time around he just got tangled up with the battle that Saiful Arifin was fighting through the field.
I wonder if Saiful, while he pitted earlier, maybe he did top up some fuel, maybe just enough for him to end the race. That could be a. He pitted in the early 5 laps, I think, right? 6 laps.
That could be an interesting point if he is able to pull that off. A very early pit stop. Of course, that's going to mean that he's going to have to fuel save for the last half of the race. But if he can pull it off, that would be a fairly big achievement for Saiful Arifin, and that will put him right up the leaderboard there. But he's in 4th place, sitting pretty with a pace of about a 137. So he's doing 137s right now, which is about the pace you'd expect from these guys. The tyres are pretty worn right now, and the car's a little light on fuel. They're just trying to make their pit-in window.
Also, Jezrin had an early pit stop. We don't know whether it's okay. Ilham went into the pits already, so this is one of the normal pit times.
This is the first pit stop of the expected pit window. You'll see sometimes that the cars are coming at a little bit of an angle coming into the pit stops there, and that's normal for some tracks, especially at Zandvoort, where the track is a little bit narrow, a little bit different geometry to your usual Grand Prix race tracks. I understand that's now all very nice and wonderful now in Zandvoort, but it's definitely a bit of a classic feeling there. But Ilham Labi comes out in 7th place. There's only one car ahead of him that has stopped already, so that could mean that Ilham Labi has a chance of trying to make up some of the lost ground between himself and the cars up ahead there. You can see that Afil Fadlan, he's having a little bit of problems, a little bit of damage on the car there, and he ran a little bit wide, so perhaps Ilham will be sitting pretty come the end of the race. This is when the tactics and the strategies begin to really work themselves out. Meanwhile, so far we have Suraj Alvarez still out there in 17th position, Shukran in 18th, Lloyd Lachlan and Jasri Junos are still in the race. However, Javier Alvarez has indeed pulled out of the race. He has retired. So, meanwhile, Shami Aizan is up there in 5th place, and we have more guys coming into the pits. That's the 2nd place man, Zainal Hazim. And with Ryan Lam 1.7 kilometers away, this could be a position. Saiful Arifin, in fact, goes up into second place. So this could be very interesting indeed. But that's 44 seconds between Saiful Arifin and Ryan Lamb. That could be enough time, in fact, for 4 fresh tyres and quite a lot of fuel. So Ryan Lamb is sitting pretty right now at the front of the field. This could be the perfect opportunity for him to pit. Perhaps he was planning on pitting on lap 20, which is at the late end of the usual pit lane window. It'll be interesting to see how long he can stretch that gap before he has to come into the pits. But Shami Aizan there, he is 2/10 over the second Charles Norafunin, and that's another driver that Charles Norafunin has to try and keep behind him. In fact, Shami Aizan was the first driver that he had to defend from, but it looks like Shami Aizan's car is going very quickly indeed. Jasri Junos in the Porsche up ahead, he is lap 2 down, and Ryan Lamb goes into the pits. So we'll keep an eye out on the clock when he heads into the pits. We'll see that distance marker on the left hand side on the timing tower roll down, and we'll see if Saiful Arifin can get anywhere close. If he can get within 10 or 15 seconds, that would be very good driving there from Saiful Arifin to try and catch up with Ryan Lamb, and that could. And it looks like Ryan Lamb has decided to go for a very, very fast pit stop. In fact, he's going to do a splash and dash. He wants to keep that lead as long as possible. And it looks like he comes out still with a 44-second gap, albeit to a different driver. So Ryan Lamb is still in the lead at the moment.
Oh, the gap has closed to 13 seconds.
Alright, I've never seen that happen before. But it looks like, yes, indeed, like I was saying earlier, now that the timing screens have updated themselves, Ryan Lamb is in the lead at the moment. He's doing very well for himself, but Saiful Arifin did do quite well for himself, catching up to the driver up ahead there. 14 seconds separate Ryan Lamb from Saiful Arifin. Will Saiful have enough pace in the car to try and race on? Shami Aizan and Sharon Norafunin are the last drivers out there still yet to pit, and they're still battling it out. In fact, Shami Aizan has indeed overtaken Sharon Norafunin. That's only the second person that has overtaken that Audi so far. However, it looks like Ilham Halabi might be the next man on the hit list. He might be able to try and make an overtaking move work on Sharon Norafunin. Look at Ilham Halabi getting very close to the back of that fellow Audi of Sharon Norafunin, pushing the car very hard indeed down the back straight. They're coming into the braking zone here, really driving the car into the corner there. Looks like Ilham is able to keep the car further into the inside of the track than Sharil does, so that appears to be like Ilham's got the quicker car there. Sharon Norafunin, he's done very well for himself to gain 6 places up to this point, but it could be that he's going into the pits, and yes, both drivers decide to head into the pits. It's going to be a battle of who can get the pit stops over the quickest. Meanwhile, Simon Sanchez, he has managed to recover, managed to do a fairly good recovery drive there to come up into 6th place, heading up across the line there, and yeah, he will be moving right up into 4th. And Jazrin Jali managing to get himself back up into 5th place. He has gained 15 positions.
Oh!
Because he started, he started at the back of the field alongside Ilham Halabi, who has also been gaining positions left, right and centre. It looks like between these two drivers, their challenge, their own personal little battle is to see who can get the most overtakes in the race. And Jasmine Jali, he's got a fairly good tally going there. 15 positions gained is nothing to sneeze at. As we're coming up towards the 10-minute to go mark, about 20 seconds away from it being 10 minutes to go there, and Ryan Lamb is in the lead of the race right now with a massive 13-second gap between himself and Cypher Arfin in a very comfortable position there in the Audi R8 GT3 car. Cypher Arfin now is in second place. That is in fact where he started the race. However, of course, he did have to go all the way to the back of the field and move his way up. In the meantime, he is now back up into the position where he started, and he's trying to get himself to push that car along. 10 minutes, it could be very hard indeed to try and catch Ryan Lamb. However, if any man can do it, it's Cypher Arfin. Right now, down there in 5th position is Jasmine Jolly, and he's got another target on his sights. However, the man up ahead is no slouch when it comes to driving a Ferrari. That's Simon Sanchez, pushing very hard indeed to try and keep himself up in the top, as high up the top 5 as he can. Jasmine Jolly there in 5th. He's got a little bit of a pace advantage right now, although over the top of the mountain here, or over the top of the dune rather, that this track is built, it looks to be that Simon Sanchez had the upper hand there, but coming into the tighter corners here, it looks like Simon has just a little bit early on the brakes compared to Jasmine Jolly. Coming out of the corner there, just trying to get the traction down over the crest, coming into the braking zone, very neat and tidy through that section, really pushing the car out towards the edge there, and Jasmine really pushing hard in order to try and catch up to Simon Sanchez. It looks like they're quicker, each man is quicker at different parts of the track than the other. It's really going to be a back and forth battle coming up across the line.
What interests me is there are 3 early pitters here. We've seen Jezrin, we've seen Sanchez enter the pits due to damages, I think. Was it him? I don't...
Yeah, Sanchez had to go into the pits early, Jezrin had to go into the pits early,
and Cypher. Yeah. So this might be a game changer also towards the end of the race. Maybe the fuel isn't enough. Maybe they can survive with the remaining fuel with a slower pace. Maybe.
That could be an interesting thing, because of course, having had to pit very early indeed, although it doesn't look like it from Jasmine Jolly's point of view, these drivers would have had to be really mindful of their fuel consumption. It looks like Simon Sanchez, they had a little bit of a mistake going around that corner there, and they're going to be side by side coming through the left-hander here, and it looks like Simon Sanchez decides to give the position to JJ as he's Jasmine Jolly managing to get himself up into 4th place. So yeah, the incidents could be a blessing in disguise when it comes to the pit lane strategy. However, it could also be a bit of a bane when it comes to fuel consumption. They're going to have to drive with one eye on the cars around them, one eye on that fuel gauge. Very, very challenging stuff indeed to do, especially for a racing driver who just wants to push the car as hard as possible. This could come down to a fuel economy run towards the end of the race. 38 minutes to pass, and it looks like Ryan Lamb is holding steady. There's surely not enough time for Ryan Lamb to be caught. The race is winding down there. We could see this go to lap 27 or lap 28. Pushing very hard for himself over the straights there. He's still lapping at the 1:37.7. Yeah, that was his last lap time there. He's not pushing the car too hard. However, he is still maintaining a healthy gap between himself and the second place man, Cypher Arfin. 6 minutes to go in the race there. Cypher Arfin, he's got a lot of traffic up ahead. It looks like he won't be able to try and challenge Ryan Lamb for the lead there at this point, and very sideways there, trying to avoid the slow car of Shao Renja. Just about manages to gather the slide and keep going there. He wouldn't want to do that too often. Not only are you putting the car at risk, and not to mention to giving the driver a little bit of a fright there, but it also looks like there we go. So Cypher Arfin finally manages to get his car through putting Shoal Ridge up down another lap. But like I was saying, it looks like Sapphire Finn's main goal right now is to try and consolidate second place. He is still managing to maintain a gap of 10 seconds from Ilham Labi, who's down in third place. Just about almost finished the 100 plus there on the table. It's been an absolutely interesting race. Very, very exciting at times, very thought-provoking at other times there. Sandro Sanchez up in 5th place. He's chasing after Jezrin Jali, trying his best to maintain the pace. He's hoping that Jezrin might not have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. If I recall correctly, Simon Wilkins is later than Jezrin, but both drivers will definitely be looking at their fuel tanks because they pitted very, very early indeed.
These are the pit laps, so
Sandro Sanchez, he pitted on lap 14 while Jezrin had to pit at lap 9. Sapphire Finn really does have to look at his fuel consumption because he pitted on lap 6, so he's done 20 laps on his current tank of fuel. He'll really have to be careful with fuel consumption now. Simon looks like he's not able to try and catch up Jezrin, but of course, at Zandvoort there you do have 1-2 if you try and follow another car. And that is that main straight slipstream effect. Even if you're quite far behind, you do get a little bit of effect at that distance, which can only help at that pace.
let's look over to Ryan Lam. He's doing really well.
Yeah, he's still managed to maintain the pace between himself and Sapphire Finn, so he has a very, very big gap between himself and second place there. It looks like we might get to lap 28 in my current calculations. My calculator, of course, being very worn out. Nevertheless, Ryan Lam in a commanding position at the front there. And perhaps that just goes to show the superiority of the mid-engine Audi in comparison to the Mercedes. Both cars have the very dramatic trait of being very stable at high speed, very, very easy to drive, which can only help in this sort of racing, in this sort of circumstance there. But Ryan Lam very, very quick indeed at the front of the field.
Sheffield tuning down a bit his pace, so maybe he's trying to conserve.
Yep, with 2 minutes left in the race, we'll see where Ryan Lam is. We might get a lap 28 if that. So this could be the last couple of laps of the race, and now is the time that the drivers can really afford, especially with the gaps that they have right now, they can really afford to back off the pace there. Obviously, Ilham Labi, he's gained a whole 16 positions from his starting place there. A really fantastic effort there after starting in 20th to bring the car up into the top positions. Then Leslie had a bit of an incident there. Let's have a look at the instant replay and see what happened there. Just looks like he got the car on the grass on the inside there and did very well to try and keep the car off the wall. I must say, these cars do not grip very well when they're on grass. And, he did very well for himself there to try and keep the car off the wall and maintain his position going through the race. Meanwhile, Tamisi Yusuf has Fred Ting in his sights. Will he be able to try and do something through these S's? A very challenging series of corners there. Coming up towards the exit. Sarmizi has a little bit of a pace advantage through the slow corners there.
So this might be the last lap.
It looks like it's going to be lap 28 is the last lap there. There's 30 seconds, 20 seconds left.
Oh no, Saiful.
And it looks like Sapphire Finn isn't able to make it on the fuel load that he has there. He has to come in for a final lap pit stop. That's going to really hurt his chances here. Ilham Labi moves up into second place. Saifu manages to get back out in third place there, thanks to the big lead that the cars had up ahead, but that was a big disaster there for Saifu Arifin. He was comfortably in second, but he just ran out of fuel there. As it turns out, he drove one lap too many in trying to maintain his position, having pitted on lap 6. So 22 laps on a tank of fuel, and that was about it for the big thirsty Mercedes. Meanwhile, Simon Sanchez, he's going to be worried, as well as the car up ahead, Jasmine Javi. Now we know the Mercedes couldn't do it in the time. Will Simon Sanchez find out where JJ stands there? Meanwhile, Ryan Lamb's going to come across the final corner there onto the main straight, and he is going to take a well-deserved win here at Zandvoort for the Adrenaline Impact GT3 series. A fantastic result from Ryan Lamb, utterly dominant performance. Amazing drive there. And meanwhile, Ilham Labi has dragged his car all the way through the field there. An amazing 17 positions gained on the way to second place from the back row of the grid. A fantastic result there from Ilham Labi. And meanwhile, Saiful Arifin did all he could to try and get back up into second place. He was right at the back of the field at one point, but he has managed to bring his car all the way back up into third place. An absolute virtuoso performance from all those drivers there. And it looks like Jasmine Jali just has enough of that Petronas fuel to get across the line in fourth place, followed by Simon Sanchez in fifth. Meanwhile, this battle between Fred Ting and Tramizi Yusuf roars on. We're going to come across the line very shortly indeed. Will there be an opportunity for Tramizi to try and do a last lap overtaking maneuver? He's a little bit too far back and he's lost a lot of time going through the corner there. Could this be a little bit of a lack of fuel? But it looks like Fred Ting will take home 8th place, just behind Sharon Rufuri in 7th and Chame Aizan in 6th, whilst Tramizi Yusuf comes home in 9th, right ahead of his teammate Zainal Hazim in 10th place, and Afiq Fadlan will just miss out on the top 10 there. He comes home in 11th place, having gained 10 positions. So a lot of positions changed throughout the course of the race, and we'll have a quick look at the race results. Perhaps one of the most dominant performances we've seen in the series there. Ryan Lam wins the race. The Hong Kong driver takes it home by 21.5 seconds from Ilham Labi in second place, while Saiful Arifin was a further 36 seconds behind in third. Following that, we have Jasmine Jali in fourth place, Simon Sanchez in fifth, Jasmine just about able to keep Simon Sanchez at bay in the closing stages of the race. Shame Aizan in 6th after a race-long battle with Charles Norafudian in 7th place. Fred Ting managing to keep 8th from Tramizi Yusuf, whilst Zainal Hazim rounds out the top 10. Following Zainal, we have Afiq Fadlan 11th, and following Afiq there we have Calvin Ha, Nazmi Mazli, Surin Salvaraju, Lloyd Lachlan, Shawar Rejab, Farouz Fazil, and Muhammad Shukran in 18th. Wow, that was an incredible race from all the drivers here at the Adrenaline Impact GT3 series. Spectacular racing up through the field.
Yeah, just about to load the poster for you guys to see. On next week's race, we have we will be broadcasting this
next weekend.
Yeah, next weekend. The next 2 weekends, but next week we'll be in Interlagos. So sadly, we're not going to be broadcasting it. Yeah.
So yes, indeed, on the 31st of October, we will be broadcasting the race from Laguna Seca for the GTE by Radical SR8 multi-class race. So the Sim Racers Asia battle for the Sim Racers Asia Championship will continue there at Laguna Seca. It's going to be an amazing race and a we're definitely looking forward to broadcasting that one in conjunction with the Macau China Sim Racing Association and the Sim Racing Association of Singapore. This is going to be a fantastic event. We had Saiful Arifin win the race last time around at Charlotte Roval. Who's going to be the winner this time around at Laguna Seca? And of course we have the intervening Interlagos race in between.
Yeah.
And
Please do join that race also. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
still open for registration, I think.
Yep, they are going to be open for registrations all throughout the season. So do look them up on the iRacing forums and do check out their social media pages for more information on that championship. You'll be competing with drivers from all across Asia. It's going to be an absolutely amazing race under the lights at Laguna Seca.
Yeah. Let's talk outside the box a bit today. I think Tengku Irsyad is running something interesting today.
Indeed.
He's running a Sepang race, Sunday fun race.
Yep.
On Assetto Corsa. So
Yep.
I wonder
So
what's
for those-
what cars are involved. I think there are a couple of Hondas there.
Yeah, so basically we've been running some test races in Assetto Corsa because we have the ability to run Sepang on that sim, albeit as a mod. So we've run the Sagas there quite successfully a few times, and this time around we're going to be running the cars that would have been competing in the NSF sort of Super Street categories. So your Honda EK, we have a couple of EK Hondas there, we have an Evo, a couple of Subarus, and an FD2 Civic, as well as a DC5 Integra. So quite a wide variety of the cars that you would normally expect in the Super Street class of racing. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to check out.
Yeah, we'll be trying to broadcast a bit more content on Assetto Corsa, particularly maybe on time attack formats. So stay tuned for that. We've been experimenting quite a bit.
Yep.
So it's not that bigger event if you were to compare it to iRacing, because the pits are quite limited and the methods of entering the race is quite handful steps, so many steps. So if it involves in installing mods and stuff, so we'll try to broadcast soon, maybe one of their practice races or anything that's available. Yeah, Matt.
Yes. Yeah. And in the meantime, you'll be able to check out the Tadakaja streams that Tengku Irsyad puts out on his Facebook page there. And we'll often be streaming, and you'll often find me there alongside him, trying to either crash into him or avoid Surin crashing into me.
Where was
A
Surin
few-
tonight? I think what happened to him? I think he had quite a bad start today.
He crashed into Javier Alvarez, so that's going to be an interesting little discussion we're going to have in a few minutes' time when we join the Sepang race.
Let's see what happened to him. This is Surin.
Yep, coming through the first corner there, and I believe he tangles with Javier, in fact, at turn 4. So we'll ride on board with him and diving through the curves there. And it looks to be okay so far. Not too sure where the incident took place. It might have been on lap 2 or lap 3, in fact. It's a little
The
bit
next
further
lap
into
he
the
was
race.
pitting, so it could be on this lap.
Could be.
See.
And yes, that's the incident up ahead. That was one of the SRE Ferraris which caused the chain reaction that Lloyd Lachlan was involved in. And there was quite a few cars involved in that, including Surin. So that's where he had to pit. Not sure where the incident with Javier happened. That must have been later on there.
Let's
But
see.
very tough luck for them.
Yeah, let's see. Scheifele's incident, I think on lap 5.
Yep, coming into the start of the lap there. It was a very unfortunate mistake there. I believe he was trying to get past Simon Sanchez. And again, coming into the same problem, we can definitely see that that part of the track is very difficult indeed to try and get past. And you can see a tough there coming across, and I think it was Simon Sanchez speeding at one point of the lap. Or
Just let me try to find it. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. And Simon had just got the car on the grass and pitched Cypher into what must be a very violent roll.
Oh.
Certainly in the real world of racing, that car would be written off. But thankfully we're in the sim and he was able to continue on to the podium positions. But you can see there Simon got the car a little bit sideways on the grass there. But when you're on the grass you don't have that much grip. So he's desperately trying to slow the car down in order to try and avoid an accident, but unfortunately the car turns due right, and that tosses Seiffel's car right up in the air.
540 degrees.
Oh yeah, that looks more like a Tony Hawk move than a racing incident. Unbelievable stuff there. That might make it into the iRacing not top 10 list.
What happened to Lloyd? Let me check.
Lloyd was involved in that first lap incident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
And yet another driver that was looking very promising throughout the course of the weekend, but unfortunately just wasn't able to do it. Again, coming into the same problem there, you see the Ferrari spinning up ahead.
He was one of them.
He in fact started a little bit of a pile up there because he clipped that spinning Ferrari. He had nowhere else to go.
Who was the cause of the? Let's try to find out who spun there. Was it? Let me check.
It was, I believe, one of the Ferraris, Nazmi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one car spinning up ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Oops.
Oh man. Let me try to find who
We'll
was
get
it.
the VHS tape recorder going. It was Melvin.
Oh, Melvin.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have no stewards today.
We do apologise, but for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Melvin. It is a very challenging part of the track, to be honest, especially on cold tyres. It's very hard to keep the car in a straight line coming up the hill there, and unfortunately he just had the entire cavalry behind him, doing quite well for himself to try and avoid that incident there. But also Simon Sanchez apologising on everyone's behalf there, on his behalf rather, on the incident between himself and Cypher Riffin. It just goes to show that at the end of the day, these guys are part of a community that's been growing ever larger and brighter throughout the course of the year, and it's been fantastic to have some of the SRA guys join into this series. Great fun watching the racing, and it's been a great race. Absolutely dominant performance there by Ryan Lam.
Yeah, so it's been a great weekend. Thank you, Matt, for all your commentaries, non-stop commentaries.
Oh yeah.
So we'll try to keep this up for the next upcoming weeks. So we're still trying to seal a deal with for season 3, but unfortunately we cannot lock any sponsors yet for that. Or maybe we'll just proceed with basic championship series. Maybe we've really prepared ourselves for GT3. Might as well go into GT3.
Yeah. It's looking that way, isn't it? As a hobby, so good race, guys, despite the incidents. Yes, it was an absolutely fantastic race. We had absolutely everything. We had the crashes, we had the bashes, we had the battles, and we had the best in Rhineland coming across that finish line.
What happened to Shukran?
I'm not too sure. Hopefully he'll be able to tell us in the comment section. That's Tamizi Yusuf there giving the big thumbs up. Absolutely fantastic stuff. You can see all the races down there in the comment section below. So you can drop them a comment and tell them how you feel whilst you're there. Hit that like button and subscribe onto our YouTube
He
page.
went into this mishap. He lost quite a number of places there.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate there for Shukran. Very, very quick driver. And quite a few quick drivers actually ended up having to do the old Austin Powers 17-point turn to try and get the cars back up and running again.
All right, Matt. This is the end of stream. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you for sharing. Thank you. We will keep this up as regularly as possible, and we might be venturing into Assetto Corsa soon. And keep on racing, guys. Stay safe, because we're seeing a bit tough time today, especially today's numbers. We pray for those in Sabah who are deeply affected to be safe and sound, as we are also having some big numbers here in Selangor also. And for the meantime, Adrenaline Impact will also do some hardware reviews. So I got some gear I'm gonna try out.
That's gonna be really nice.
Yeah, we're gonna be sharing a bit more on our what we used in the background. So Matt, thanks again. We'll keep this up for a weekly thing. And how's Interformula doing right now?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Unfortunately, things are being affected quite badly, as you know, in Selangor, especially in places like Sarawak and Klein's. We're a little bit limited as to what we can do, but we are keeping the wheels rolling, and hopefully we'll be able to race some classic cars, or at least get them out onto the track very, very shortly. So we'll bring you some clips from that and share that around, I am sure. But yeah, we're doing okay, we're nice and healthy, and we hope everyone else there stays healthy, follow the SOPs, and make sure to stay safe, and don't try anything too risky. That was Jaswin's accident there.
Yeah, JJ crashed on his own. That's why.
Yeah, we were seeing quite a few mistakes coming out of the final corner then. Must be quite challenging. Now imagine trying to do that final corner flat out when it's a banked corner, which is what Zandvoort is now. This is a slightly older layout. The racing layouts, I'm sure, will be coming soon to iRacing as soon as they can get someone out there. Thanks there to Jasri Jonathan. Just before we go, I'd like to thank all of the drivers who have made it over, especially the guys from the SRA community and the SRE guys as well, who have been on main stake that are just in the Adrenaline Impact series. Special thanks goes to our director Karo Alam, who has had a lot of work so far this weekend. And thanks to everyone who is watching there at home. You really do make it very, very nice to work on this series. But I've been Max Palmer, and we will see you all in the next broadcast. Tora.
Hi, I'm Matt from Interformula, and welcome to our Research and Development Centre. We do all forms of research and development, all the way from designing and developing our own race cars, to simulators, to running cars in racing series and rallying all over the world. We also do a lot in the Asian Classic Car Championship, so do look out for us. For any information, do contact us with the number down below.